Welcome
is
to
that
IoT Coffee
background?
Talk. Oh, this is the hotel. That was the musical intro. Or are you going to rap?
I like that corridor.
Oh, yeah. This is the
It's pretty cool.
lobby
Yeah.
of the
Beautiful.
Hotel Washington Hotel in DC. Yeah, I'm here in DC, just a block away from the White House. Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
Yeah, and
Wow.
right next door to that building right there, if you can see it, is the Treasury Department building. And
It's got to be busy because Barack's in town.
no, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. So yeah, surprise, surprise. Yeah, and you'll be astonished at how dirty the buildings are. It's like, I mean, you can't afford a gardener. Like the lawn over here looks
Wow.
like it hasn't been tended to in like years. I mean, the building looks like it's
Times
closed
are
down.
tough. Wow.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like really, really strange. Really, really
Struggle
strange.
is real in DC.
Yeah,
You'd figure that they would have.
gotta
they'd
pinch the
be among-
pennies.
You'd figure those buildings would be amongst the best in like landscaping and this presentation.
Yeah, I mean, got to look good, right? But I guess
Yeah.
they've been cutting down or something. I don't know, but yeah, some of the government buildings are looking a little raggedy. But
No bueno.
well, yeah,
Wow.
no bueno. Yeah. So what's up, guys? What's up this week?
Gus is
In the
getting
land of
neutered. Gus is getting neutered right now.
Ooh,
Ouch.
that's a harsh way to start off the episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Sometimes it's got to happen.
Gus, your crazy cat.
Yeah. I just got back from dropping him off for the day. He's going to be
Tough day for Gus.
recovery today.
Oh, poor guy.
Okay,
Poor
the funny
kid.
thing is that he is so extremely wild. Like he just completely turned into a feral cat when I try to get him into the cage.
Really?
And so the only way I could get him in, and he was just trying to tear me up, and he got me on the cheek good.
Oh.
But I had to put the cage or the kennel vertically and drop him in. That's the only way I could get him in because he would not go in.
Oh,
and I was like, this is going to be interesting. Woo! He turned into a feral cat.
Wow.
There you go. Good job.
Are you
Well
okay?
done.
Because cats are not like dogs. Cats have like some serious claws, right?
You see it?
Okay, yeah. You can see
He's
it.
like-
It's a little puffy.
Do you think you're going to get cat scratch fever?
That's what we need to play.
Oh, okay, I'll dub it in the beginning.
Okay.
There you go.
Scratch fever, yeah.
Since you can't
There you
break out the guitar in the
Yeah, I know.
lobby
The
there.
air guitar.
Right. Right. Oh my God. Wow.
So yeah, so that's my life, crazy cat lady.
Good times.
Awesome.
Good times.
You know what? The simple life is sometimes a good life.
Yeah.
Just got to be.
Yes, and you know what?
What's
Speaking
that
of
Leonard
that,
Skinner song? Simple Man.
speaking of that, it reminded me of Rick Belletta complaining about his experiences with DoorDash and the food delivery.
Oh.
I'm like, you spoiled city people. I'm like, well, at least you get that. I have no options out here.
You have to jump in the truck.
It's possible that some of the takeaway from some of these things is just a reminder that a lot of these so-called mega successful companies have yet to actually be successful.
They're breaking even.
They're just creating an illusion. Oh, most of them are not breaking
Not
even.
even making money.
At a loss.
Yeah.
At a loss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, I used to feel weird when I'd see companies doing like a Series F or a Series H fundraising. And I'm just like, is this La La Land? Is this are you still unable to make money on your own and you have to go to Series H?
Yeah, that's you know what? That's like F minus. It's like a grading system. If you get A round, A series round of funding, that means okay. Hey, I think you have a good idea. You go to B. It's like, all right, well, you're not doing the organic thing, so yeah, we'll fund you a little bit more, and let's hope that we can get you guys to a place where you can start to scale. You get to C. VCs are pumping up the stock or the valuation, publishing some number, and then Yeah, you go to if you can't make it past F, yeah, you got a problem. You're pivoting, right? You have to be pivoting under all those fundings.
It feels
If you
like
can't grow organically, and I think that's the thing, is that none of these companies have tested their true potential and viability early on. You know, they're just getting funded and they're just experiments.
Yeah,
you know?
and some of them have been around 5 years, 10 years, and they still call themselves startups. And I'm like,
because they operate like a startup.
Yeah, exactly. So I do want to shout out to Teal Communications. Their Series A.1 round closed last week. So that was basically
I saw that.
Yeah, there was just a bunch of other investors that wanted to give money to them, to Robbie and Michael there who run Teal, and so it's like, okay, we'll take that extra $10 million. So at 8.1, so they're up to about 20 million so far. And it was interesting. I saw our friend Matt Hatton from Transforma, and he was kind of making a comment about that, of them, an MVNO, whatever, getting more money. And the reality is Teal is actually not an MVNO. They're actually they're doing this true eSIM thing, credentialing as on a service dynamically, so that you're native on different operators, not roaming like most MVNO. I guess to differentiate from like Once or Soracom or Hologram or things like that. I guess is the takeaway.
That makes sense.
I think just kind of generalizing these kind of businesses as MVNOs doesn't really. I mean, I guess they could be a variety, but you're not being specific enough. Some of these companies, like we had SI, what those guys are doing. It's a bit different, right? Because they're doing a lot of aggregation. They're not just providing mobile services on top of someone else's network, right? There's this whole aggregation and mediation or intermediary play that they have going on. And so, I think, once again, semantics becomes the issue, because I do hear a lot of these companies being referred to as MVNOs, but, I don't know.
Yeah, to me,
I think MVNOs mean something. Yeah.
Yeah. If it's not a roaming relationship, then it's a lot more. Then it's, there's something more to that.
Absolutely. And in full disclosure, I'm an official technical advisor to Teal.
Nice. You are a technical advisor to a lot. So add that one to the list, Rob.
There you go. There you go. Good times.
Yeah. So we're having
how's DC? What are you doing in DC, man?
So I'm attending the IP leadership conference here in DC. It's pretty cool. We had it took place yesterday. I had a bunch of people from judges to policy makers to advisors to the president and Congress showing up to this pretty exclusive event. And we talked about technological leadership, the role of IP in that. There was a lot of China bashing, which was interesting. It's just we hear some of that on the news, but coming to Washington, it seems to be a pretty persistent and highly notable thread in conversations around trade and IP. And leadership, obviously, technological leadership. So, and lots of talk about, the chip shortage, the CHIPS Act. So, it was just one day, but it was very dense, and the content was really great. I was surprised because I thought I was just going to hear a bunch of policymaker BS, and but one of the things that I did notice was people are just super talking past each other, even folks in the IP community, they get like what we were talking about last week, innovation and invention confused. And so that you can, when you listen back on some of these sessions, you can actually tell where those semantic disconnects are causing communication issues within a panel and then across panels, and so that was like a real revelation for me. It was just like evidence, proof that, number one, words, like you say, David, all the time, words matter. And you can come into a room, sit on a panel with a nice seat on, and talk like you know what you're talking about. And if you don't use the same language as the person sitting right next to you or the moderator, next thing you know, you have this really wacky conversation. I mean, not to say that they were wacky conversations, but you could see the evidence that these semantic disconnects are really causing, number one, communication issues, but more importantly, I think it's causing some, let's say, less than optimal information sharing and learning from the policy perspective. So, for instance, oftentimes people were talking about how we don't manufacture chips in the US. It's like, what are you talking about?
Since when?
It's like, okay, so 90% or some ridiculous percent of chips are made in overseas. And it's like, well, no, wait a minute. There's a company called Intel. They manufacture here. But when I hear policymakers sit there and say that, and that's what the community,
I can tell you, they're not.
That is wrong.
They've never been to the state of Arizona or the state of Oregon, specifically Hillsboro. It's not like there's not, gigantic plants churning chips out for a long time now.
Right. And then, their understanding of like the different process technologies and stuff is just really, quite honestly, infantile. But they're going around telling people we don't make chips in the United States. And it's like, no, that's not true. Those are the things that really, and this is not even it's not even a partisan thing. This is just in general. You sit in a room with a bunch of people who are really smart in their domains talking about chips, and they're getting a lot of stuff super confused.
Leonard, can you tell the Secret Service guy that's protecting you to stop the banging of the pots and pans, because it's getting to me?
Oh, really? Are you serious?
Yeah, like someone.
Are you in a restaurant?
Yeah, I don't know. There's someone like with a cup and saucer just having.
Someone's clearing the table.
Dude. I'm at the bar, man.
All right.
Please.
I'm in a public. Hold on.
He's at the bar. He's having mimosas.
Okay.
Yeah.
How's that?
So all those politicians are basically throwing shade on Intel, AMD, Texas Instruments, and others.
Right.
Saying we don't make chips.
Yeah,
I think we need Will Smith to go and slap each one of those.
Boom. Absolutely.
Hey, Bill, what's up, man?
What's up? This sounds good.
All right.
No, but it's like really cool to have the opportunity to speak to some of the policymakers and lobbyists and just the advisors, and get a sense of the maturity and the level of integrated thinking that they have, because this is like a super complicated topic. And respect to all the people who were on the panels, were at the event, but there's these glaring gaps, and just from that should worry a lot of us. It really begs the question is, do our policy makers going off of ground truths, and do they even have the basic knowledge to be making good bets and policies to address topics like resiliency? Well, what the hell does that mean? We talked about that last week. Security, national security. Well, how does all this stuff contribute to national security? And the problem I think is the topics have become so politicized that they're becoming people are misguided. You know what I'm saying? And I think that doesn't help us. And
But
so
it's
that's one of the things that really worries me.
It's super tough also to just amongst yourselves, but recording this for the interwebs, it's also tough to have a conversation like this and avoiding getting political, because these are political decisions that are being made, and when they don't work, how do you have an opinion without being political? It makes me think of the 23rd of wait, what month? I don't even know which way it's up. The 23rd of February, the government released the last chunk of grants for the PIDP, Port Infrastructure, something, ton of money. And the gist of it is, hey, these supply chain issues, let's invest in infrastructure, in port infrastructure, so that we can, do it better. And that's great. But, we're on year 3 of these grants, which means we started to, release this money for a really good reason before COVID. And I know, I'm reading, it feels like the money's being used in the right places by the right entities. But why did COVID bite us so hard in the butt in 2020, when we were 2 years into almost $1 billion worth of projects that had been going? And so now I don't have the answer to the question, right? But someone should know the answer, because we just released another, $500 million. And these are the things that it makes a lot of smart people upset, because I would love nothing but a great success story with taxpayer money into infrastructure that solve the problem, that helps everyone. Because we're talking about supply chain. We're talking about port stuff coming into ports, literally touches everyone. So, to your point, Leonard, is it a simple explanation that they're talking above the other, and they're saying words that don't really translate from one person to the other, and then we do things and there's no clear objective. And anyway, these are the things that are really hard to talk about without getting political, because I want to name drop, but I'm not.
Oh, you want to do that name drop?
Well, I used to cover the Fed space in detail in terms of the money's coming down and some of the problems and the issues and the timing. But generally what we found is it could take anywhere from 9 to 18 months before that money gets to, especially if it's coming down to state and local entities, and there's got to be some kind of matching, and there's a lot of administration. But on average, it was taking 9 to 18 months from getting that grant approved or whatever, or getting that funding dispersed to the project actually beginning. And so a lot of times we see that there's these big dollars that are being released, and it could be 6 months, could be 9 months, could be a year later or more before they even start on the work. So I have to imagine that COVID just threw a wrench in everyone's plans, when the people, having the resources just was not there. And then we had a massive trickle down effect from that. You think about all the projects that were in the works and everything that had to be put on hold. I don't know. That's just a hypothesis because of all the delays.
Stephanie, we just lost 300,000 followers when you said trickle down. Bunch of people.
Trickle down economics.
But here's the funny thing. That's the only trickle down that actually has impact on job growth and the small business.
Right. So I do have
government. We don't like to talk about it. People don't want to admit it. But a lot of government funding goes, it's not like they pay government people to build bridges and stuff like that. It goes to small businesses. It goes to, the not so small businesses, and it drives the economy that way, That is trickled down.
I've got a supply chain port comment to make that you could probably categorize as hearsay, but I'll say it anyway. I heard last week, when you're comparing stuff coming in from the Pacific into Long Beach, that if you choose to have it go through the Panama Canal and up to the port of Houston and the ship channel, those items will arrive at their destination 30 days faster in spite of all that extra travel and everything, which is crazy sounding to me. But yeah, I was talking to some folks down there and I'm just like, really? I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, that's a tough decision to make, Rob, because so again, no pun intended, supply chain. Who is going to make that decision? If I'm a CMC or Maersk or the ship operator, is it profitable, right, for me to burn all this diesel to get over there? And the answer might be different to the suppliers, the e-commerce companies that have those containers full of stuff, right? They want it quicker. And I think it's interesting, but we've this whole thing about port competition is going to be here, and you know what? We're not going to find out what the effects for a long time. Remember my comment from a couple of weeks ago of certain port that will do what they have to do to avoid automation. So what happens when a nearby port says, "Hey, I can get your stuff out the gate X days quicker"? What are the suppliers going to do? Right. Yeah. Again, so this could be the start of something. Maybe
Texas is ready to take all of that business. Come on, bring it.
So what's interesting? Let's get it out quicker. This is cool stuff, David. This is so interesting because you're right. You'll hear about, well, hey, we just dug a deal to get into an alternate location that's near the giant port. And you're right, we'll hook you up faster. You know what this sounds like? It sounds like Southwest Airlines, how they grew by going to secondary airports instead of the big places, and took over just by going to the smaller airports. And I can see ports, new players, up and comers or whatever. It's like, all right, we just carved out a place to bring your ship in here, and it's not Long Beach, but it's just up the coast or whatever. It's pretty interesting.
Well, but this all sounds like, to me, to be honest, I call it what you want, but this all sounds to me like a gangster mentality at the government level. Boom. Seriously, right? It's like, I'm going to make you an offer that you can't refuse. Okay. And if you watch all the way from the initiatives from where they're going to say, we're going to allocate billions of dollars to go into these various markets. None of these people are speaking the same language. And what I mean by that is you got tech, government, and policy. They're not speaking the same language to each other or amongst each other. And when it gets down to the local level, by the time the RFP hits the street, the decision's already been made. And I don't care what anybody says, I've seen this. By the time the RFP hits the street, decision's already been made.
Wow.
So, the rationale around
Bill, those are the good RFPs. Let's just throw it out there, right? It's like, that reads funny. Nope. Only one shop I know could deliver that. I wonder who's going to win.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. You know what it is, and we've all seen that, and so
dirty laundry.
That's why I'm like it's a strong arm mentality.
Yeah, you're right.
Dirty laundry, man.
You're right, man.
Yeah, but Bill, in I think in interest of generating tax revenue for local state and city economies, having a port authority around it makes a lot of sense. But the thing is that today, we have there's 4 to 5 private entities that lease land from the port authority for the marine terminals and the cranes and whatever. So my point being, you have a lot of private enterprise today in global ports moving a lot of this commerce. So in reality, maybe someone is thinking like, like what if Jeff Bezos just wakes up on the wrong side of his double king size bed tomorrow and just says, no, dude, hear me out. What if there's an Amazon port? He could buy the land, pick a coast, and I'm just going to, and I'm going to pick, all these really talented people who have been working dockside and quayside for years. And I'm going to tech up this port. What's going to happen to the nearby non-automated port, to the nearby government or municipality run port? I mean, I'll be surprised if, again, and I'm not saying it's good for commerce, whether it's good for a local economy, that will always be another question. But, it's.
Wow. I think David Baskin just dropped a prediction on us.
That's
my first prediction
at the government level.
I think so. That's a good question.
And just know they will unionize later.
The smartest move would be to unionize internally. I mean, if I own that, I'm gonna turn them inside and tell my own people to unionize. You work for me, unionize, and let's get this out of the way. You have a voice in what we're doing.
Yeah.
But if they do it right, because in this crazy idea of having a private port, there's so much money exchanging hands that, Bill, you're right. I'll be like, you know what? Yes, make a union. And I'm going to make sure that you guys are well paid. There's great programs. There's safety and security. I'm going to pay you triple because there's so much money exchanging hands that I cannot have employees worrying about putting bread in other families' tables. Mm-hmm. And again, and if we go to Jeff, would Jeff Bezos know the difference between paying a minimum wage and crap insurance versus $1 million a week to 70,000? He wouldn't tell the difference, man. Now you charge me 59 cents for that other burrito like the other day, and I'm going to go talk to the manager. I'm like, no, why are you charging me more?
Burrito. Why are you picking on burritos
here?
It's all about the queso. It's actually all about the queso, right, Rob?
There you go.
It is all about the queso.
It's like giving burritos a hard time. Horrible.
We are giving burritos a hard time.
But I do like this prediction, David. You think that we're just going to we will get to the fed up phase, and then things will just start happening outside.
Amazon
circumventing the government, circumventing.
You know what? So here's the thing, though. What there's a couple of things. There were a couple of words that were said yesterday that I thought were very telling. Number one of the gentlemen, I won't name his name, really, really brilliant guy. He used to be the dean of UC Berkeley. He said a number of times we should remember, and we don't. We forget, and we lose. We don't have a sense of the timeline. But more importantly, I think one of the things that I saw was there's no sense of retrospection. And so you mentioned, politics, making things political. That happens when you blame other people for stuff. Now, that's different from, again, and we've talked about this before, holding certain people who are responsible for account and remembering sort of the dependencies on, what happened prior that could have been a root cause to where we are today. That whole retrospection is absent, and it's probably willful. But, we've seen, like, for instance, all this trade stuff in the past, and many times it's a structural thing, and so bringing things back to IoT, we always hear about people talking about, hey, if we could just IoT everything, then we can optimize and freaking do all this, resiliency stuff that everyone talks about. But, that is so easy to say. And folks who have never been in transport and logistics industry don't realize how complicated. I mean, a single mode is tough. You start to get into multimodal, and it's just friggin' ridiculous, right? And so that's why you have all these freight forwarders, 3PLs, and all these people, intermediaries in the quote unquote ecosystem that at a global level, local level, whatever, where you try to solve a problem at a single port, it's not gonna solve the issues across a large system that is under stress due to a crisis, which is what we're continuing to suffer, today. So I don't know.
We need a biz dev guy to paid by the government to. No, I'm only half joking here. But imagine if from the ship owner to the container owner to the quay operator to the crane guy, and they all have this common friend that buys, beers and queso, out of New Mexico. And he would say, guys, gals, I got this, and we're going to do something, and it's going to work for everyone. But let's, this benefits everyone. Let's do something.
Oh, wait a minute. That's I'm going to make you an offer that you can't refuse.
Gangster mentality.
Just saying.
I was going to tell Leonard to go put my biz dev pitch on the emergency docket on the Supreme Court. Come on, Judge Roberts. You don't have enough stuff.
So what are we saying here? We're going to go around and we're going to threaten people with burritos and queso?
It works.
It'll get them to the table. It'll get them to the table.
That's a great
Also,
benefit.
I just want to say, at my tour of Texas here, we started off with our, we are total gangster IoT people, aren't we? Starting off with the Bob Armstrong Memorial Dip there in Austin, when three of us were having that, so I tried that queso. I tried queso at Ojeda's in Dallas. I had the Jose's dip at Molina's in Houston. I had the queso at Lupe Tortillas. I had the queso at Guadalajara. And I'm just going to say, not to, be tooting my own horn, but my queso is better than all of theirs.
I knew you were going to say that.
We have a walking, talking Yelp queso review just to crown himself as king of queso.
I get objective testing of all these different queso dips. Some that are just plain, some would have ground beef in it, maybe some chorizo. And I was really looking for someone to vanquish me, and sadly, I just couldn't find them.
Chorizo.
Oh my God! Is that what episode 100 is going to be about? It's
probably
the queso royale.
That's how we get those 300,000 followers back, right, David?
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go.
Let them trickle back.
Queso dip. That's what you do. That's what you do.
Oh my goodness.
I'm going to probably start moseying down the highway here in a second. So I am going to spend the night in lovely Van Horn, Texas tonight. And you guys have been talking about Bezos a lot. Bezos spends a lot of time in Van Horn because that's where we launched the Blue Origin rockets from. So formerly sleepy town of Van Horn, Texas, kind of out there between Fort Stockton and El Paso. But now it's there. Hot.
You better be sure to fuel up in those towns because there's a big gap between you see the next gas station.
Yeah, it's true. You're right.
It's a big state.
What's gas? What are the gas prices, Rob?
It's been about like $3.60.
Wow.
Something like that. $3.65.
Yeah. That's Texas.
Yeah.
They have places in Kerrville that says if you go through the car wash, you can pay like $3.50 something. I'm like, man, that's such a great incentive. I'm like, what's the payoff?
I have that here in Sausalito, but it's 20 cents off. But at $6.29 a gallon, it's
that bites, that hurts.
Yeah, yes, it does. Yes, it does.
That's brutal. Yeah, that's brutal. So I will be in California by Saturday. I'll be in San Diego, La Jolla by Saturday, and then moseying on up to Laguna Beach for the rest of the week next week. So that'll be nice. With a little detour to Disney next Wednesday. So that'll be fun.
Nice.
So
Rob's just living his best life. I'm just so jealous.
I'm trying.
Rob, when you're in La Jolla, are you staying in Leonard's main house or in the guest house overlooking the ocean?
I'm staying in his casita. Yes.
Yes. I mean, how so hospitable this guy. Really
is.
Rich.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks for volunteering. Volunteering my place.
Rob's gonna be the new babysitter.
My new neighbor.
Babysitter.
I'm gonna be like, what was the name of the guy who was living at O.J. Simpson's like garage apartment or something?
Kato Kalin. Oh my God, I can't even believe I remember his name.
I'm going to be your Kato Kalin.
You are. Well, you almost have the hair for it.
Almost.
It's on its way.
Maybe go for a ride on the San Diego freeway in a white Bronco or something.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
Hey, just upgrade to the new and improved white Bronco.
I do love those new Broncos. Those are good looking.
Yeah, they are. The big ones.
Absolutely. Yeah, they're nice. Absolutely.
They're real small inside, though.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Did you look at them? Were you thinking of getting one?
No, I was looking at them before I bought the Tahoe. They're not big enough for my family.
You know, I think, Stephanie, you need to trade in the Tahoe for the gigantic Wagoneer with the wood veneer outside.
My husband was already telling me all about it because he went and looked at it. I'm like, nope, I'm not going there. And he said, well, I've already heard there's a lot of issues with the vehicle already. And I'm like, ooh, yep. Glad I didn't go that route. You know, it's a little bit too big. I was trying to downsize from a Suburban.
How do you do that? You should have you could have put a Mini Cooper in the back of the Suburban.
Yeah, true.
There you go.
True.
I'm downsizing. Hey.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to mosey on down I-10.
Okay. All right, man.
See you guys
we'll see you. Drive carefully.
Wave to us in Bandera.
I will.
Bandera.
Do it. Adios.
Safe travels.
All right.
Bye.
So, hey, Bill, what's up, man? What's new?
Hey, I'm just trying to follow the money myself. You know, I mean, there's of course there's the whole talk of all of the infrastructure, but it's like that we cast a broad net when we say infrastructure.
Ooh, yeah.
Right. And it's like, so how much is going to go, you know, and how much is going to the Department of Transportation? How much is going towards resilience for the grid? How much is going towards, and there at this point already, there's not enough to go around. There's absolutely no way that you do that.
Wow. That's crazy.
You know, companies like, companies like Cavenue. I don't know if you guys have checked them out, but companies like Cavenue are literally talking about upgrading the highways so that you can get things like, you know, for EVs, you can charge while you're driving.
Right.
I mean, I think they're important things to talk about, but are they the most important things to solve right now?
Yeah, exactly. Because what percentage of the cars on the road are EVs? You know, it's like, you know, this whole thing of, I just read an article about autonomous vehicles and, you know, how certain companies are banking on sort of the end state, where others are maybe looking at more as a progressive thing. You know, you have to kind of think about, well, what's the pervasiveness of that particular technology or, you know, state of the art. And if it's not there, that the infrastructure investments are just a waste, you know? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's like what? Probably like 10%, less than 10% of the cars out there are EVs, right?
What was the? And there was an
like still pretty small number.
And I think you see them more in the cities. I think out in the rural areas where we are, there is no infrastructure to charge to get to point A to point B. And it's very few and far between in Texas out in the rural areas. And so that they're going to be the last to ever even look at upgrading and you know, it's very, very expensive in a lot of people's minds to go that route. And not most families can afford the prices that are out there today. I know that there was an announcement yesterday, was it GM and I don't know why I want to say Honda, but where the price point they're looking for is under 30,000 to build.
Well, they have to go that route. They have to get there. I mean, you know, there's you know, and I mean, there's a misnomer, right? You know, I have an EV, so I'm green. No, you're charging, and that charging is being fed by still fossil fuel, right? Or, I mean, it's still that. So, I mean, you know, in my mind, in my selfish opinion, we need to be looking at more of the distributed energy resources and the storage, and not just storage for residents or businesses, but community. So, I mean, the notion of community energy storage and subsidizing the storage for those that, literally don't have the funds to purchase, the more expensive EVs. How do you create that? That, I think, is now a conversation where you can get a balance between creating resiliency for disturbances that are happening on the grid, self-sufficient communities that can deal with those things. I mean, for me, at least at this level, that's what it feels like the conversation should be more about.
You know what? My husband had a good point. Yes, we were talking about this whole issue with EV, especially out in Texas and the rural areas. And he said the funny thing is you think about when we lean on electronics, think about all the technology that we use all the time and the lifetime, right? The circular economy of these. If we're reselling these devices and reselling this equipment, we're reselling these vehicles. There is no used. You don't hear about a used market for EVs. So the question is as they start to think about the electric vehicles, will we get to a point to where they got us by the, because every few years, your vehicle is no longer up to date, right? Or doesn't have the latest technology to actually run efficiently with the grid or with the charging stations, because your vehicle becomes obsolete, just like our phones become obsolete. Are we going to get to a point to where we're going to have to start buying vehicles more often, as opposed to this massively used market where we can go and get some, a vehicle for less than $2,000 and that's still running? I don't know. I worry about
as a proud owner of, I can't say it in here, but if Rick Bullotta was here, he would have words for S-box of a car. I've had a few of those. But here's the thing, Stephanie, I think newer cars, non-electric, I'm talking ICE cars that are, 10 years and newer, there's tons of electronics that when they go, they will make that car obsolete. So I don't think it might be more pronounced now in EVs, because I guess they got to have more technology. But, the same is true with some of these cars. We talked about, Toyota, if you want remote start, that's like, $8 a month. I've seen stuff with
the services.
The services, in Audi, in Mercedes, like, hey, you want this? It's a subscription. Right. I know Mercedes and Volvo, I think they've had effectively a subscription plan where you pay X a month and you can swap your car every month if you wanted to. So I think that's there, but maybe, when Bill runs for I don't know, local municipality or something, and I'm gonna move to Texas just to vote for him.
The mayor of Dripping Springs.
Well, but so here's something crazy. So and Bill can school me for certain, but there are a bunch of parts of the grid, specifically substations, that are just not meant to take any more juice. So putting solar panels next to it, it's not going to do anything because it cannot take the capacity. So what if we took some of this money and we said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to upgrade substations to take more juice, and we're going to throw all these distributed energy resources to put that juice onto the grid. And we're going to make some sort of deal where if you are part of this community, where this utility has been charging you for electricity for the last gazillion years, I don't know, you don't pay for it, or you pay a really aggressive rate if you come electric. And you hit so now I got infrastructure.
That's incentive. Yeah.
I've got incentives. I'm making it, on the the vast majority of people who, for them to get a car new, has to be 30. So they don't have to go to the salvage yard like me and my friends. You think I'm kidding? I have stories about 98 Camrys and 97 Civics.
I'm right there with you.
But and we do it that way, and it's back to who's talking to who. How long have we been talking about solar and grid resiliency?
Yeah.
And it's like, we know that these are the problems. So let's just, I don't know. I just want some good news stories to pop just here and there. Just I want Bill to say, I know, I found the money and this is where they put it. And it is great. It benefited this community. Thank you.
Bill's following the money and David just wants to find the money and just run with it.
Well, that's the whole thing. If I keep following it, eventually we'll find it. But I will say this. There are some things. San Diego Gas and Electric are currently running like some pilot programs out there with storage and EVs, right? So if you have a service disruption, your EV can power your house for a certain period of time. Right. So there's the distributed energy resource of the solar, there's the storage component for the house, and then there's the EV component. So now you are self-sustaining for at least your critical appliances and everything in the house. So you can keep your air conditioning running, you can keep your refrigerator running, you can keep all of your things that you need.
I think there were some stories about Ford where they were doing that when some people had the outages in Texas, or Ford was talking about, hey, you can use your vehicle. If you
and
completely lose electricity.
The thing about it is that the only way is to make sure you have that. And I think there's a company, Green Mountain Power, is like one of the first ones that I saw to doing something like that. But I know that San Diego Gas and Electric is looking at it. I know I believe it's Pacific General Electric in Portland. They're doing something very similar. I mean, there are pockets of IOUs that are doing these types of things, and it's awesome.
We got the dog.
Hey, puppy.
He's like, she's telling me, please let me out because I need to get out right now.
Oh, well, I think we'll give her the opportunity to do that shortly. I got a jam anyways, but I think here's the thing. I mean, I have solar, and I have, we have an EV. And we don't even know what gasoline is. We don't even care about what the price of electricity is because we have a huge bank of credit. So we haven't had to pay electricity for going on ever since the pandemic started. And
nice. And when was your ROI? Like was it
it's accelerating.
Years? Yeah.
Oh no! Well,
your investment in terms of going solar.
The system costs something like $20,000. But if you consider where gas prices are now and how much we're actually driving now, which has increased quite a bit, our break even point is probably. I mean, we'll break even about probably 3.5 years. But you also have to consider, less than that, because, our neighbors, their electric bills come out to like $600 a month.
Yikes.
Yeah. And
that's about what I'm thinking.
Anywhere from $300 to $600 a month, depending on how nutty you are with your air conditioner. But it's a lot of money. Electricity is expensive, and gas is even more expensive. So you combine all those things. Our solar system, our solar system, basically provides all that for free. So, well, it's not free. We have to pay for the system, but the break even will happen pretty quickly and. I don't know. I think it's worth it, and we're basically off the grid. I love this idea of being able to use your car as a battery.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And it's a brilliant idea because when you have a brownout or a blackout, it doesn't last forever, right? It's only for a little while, and how often do like real catastrophic events happen? Sure, when they happen, they happen. But the things that irk us the most are just these occasional brownouts that happen. And if we can temporarily power the house with the energy stored in the car battery, that sounds like a great idea, Bill.
So
and I hope they do that in San Diego.
What we need is my guy Gavin Newsom and Bill's and Stephanie guys, Greg Abbott, they need to join hands. And, we need some incentive because those power banks and to do the electric changes in your house to take that power, that takes money. So how about hook us up and give us a break, give me a legit tax break. Like if the electrician, came in, I don't know what the number is, but it's in the thousands of dollars, and then just call it even. Because if that incentive helps me buy an EV and there's a brownout or a blackout, and now I'm not putting that strain on the grid because you hooked me up, that helps everyone. But let's make it accessible. And
that might be the only way we start to see this really ramp up and people go, you know what, this is way worth it.
Yeah, no,
money
but I'll
talks.
tell you right now. Yeah, exactly. But if you can get past that initial investment hump, whether maybe one of the ways that this can really be done is through favorable loans and stuff like that for these types of investments. I mean, think about it, guys. I mean, we don't spend any money on gasoline. We don't spend any money on electricity. We have more than we need, and we actually contribute back to the grid.
Leonard, but let me point something out. Look, the four of us, five, if Rob was here, we are blessed, lucky, whatever, that, if disaster struck tomorrow, like we might be okay. But, the majority of Americans don't have $400 in the bank for an emergency, right?
I know.
So those that section of the population that lives in a house, apartment, condo, townhouse, whatever, when I say most of them are not going to have any money to do electrical upgrades to accommodate this, is why I say that it should be the onus shouldn't be put on that end consumer. It should be almost transparent, like, hey, we're gonna do this for you, and it's gonna cost us like $4,000. And we're going to do it where it's $10 a month on your electricity bill for the next 4, just something like that the majority of the population can actually say, you know what? I don't have to choose between this and diapers.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just wanted to say that.
I mean, you're paying for diapers. You're paying $10 a month for Netflix. Get rid of Netflix. You're right. You're right. But again, it's just that there's good folks that don't have the Netflix either. They can't afford it. When you tell me I can literally go here in Texas and find a decent car for under $2,000. I'm gonna go do that. I'm gonna save my money up and go do that. And I don't have a monthly bill. And we just can't afford to buy a new vehicle. We, like you said, we're running month to month on our funds. We don't even have extra money. In most cases, they're running in the black. So it's just that's what families are dealing with right now, and inflation has been very challenging as well.
Yeah. Well, hey guys, I gotta drop off. Who wants to take us out?
I'll do it.
Okay.
Folks, you've made it again. The 100th episode, numero 100. That means consistency in delivering to you, our billion subscribers, value in IoT. And what a great episode today. From predictions about what Bezos is going to do when he gets up the wrong side of the bed, to road infrastructure, to how we're going to pay and how we're going to enable consumers to get these upgrades, to Bill finding money, and I'm telling him where the money is. You've made it through another episode of IoT Coffee Talk. So we thank you. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, leave any comments here so we can make it to 2 billion followers by next summer. So stay safe, stay cool, and good luck with gas prices. We are out. Peace.
Take care. See you guys.
All right.
Bye, guys.
See you.